Welcome back to The Fans Have Spoken. We got Kylie filling in for Denny tonight, and as always, Kevin and Robbie. The four of us are mourning with the whole state of Texas right now over the last person sent home.
Hey, go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
And we're going to start this off with a poll. And the poll is about who did you think was going to go home this episode? No, I'm just kidding. There's a bit of an inside joke on that one. But
You know, though, man, this is a crazy episode because I did not. Last week I came in here bold. I was like, I didn't think Danny was going to go home. And I didn't. Like, I really didn't think he was going to go home. And I think the only reason he went home was because they thought he had an idol that he was saving.
well, I think
But then
you're
why
right,
did
but I
they
think
go
that's
for him again?
fair. I think the only reason why they split the vote was because they thought he had the idol. I think he was the target, and they just split the vote.
Oh, you think so? I felt like I felt like he wasn't the target, and they felt like that if he has an idol, he uses that 5 because you could. That's the last time you can use it. That'll keep him safe. Whereas if you just send him home now, he no longer has the idol to use.
Gotcha.
Do you think this is interesting too, right? Because there's one person once again at the center of the idol paranoia, and it's Ricard. And I'm curious if this episode we got to see Danny out there looking for an idol or an advantage of some sort. I wonder if he's been doing that a lot, and it just happened to be today where Ricard was like, "Hey, like, do you think he got it? Do you think he found it?" And when they came back from their reward, he's like, "Yeah, he definitely found the idol." Like, he pretty much threw Danny's name under the bus immediately. I'd really love to find out if Danny has been looking more often than just that episode, or if, you know what I mean, or if it was
Right, like has he been looking since Nasir got voted out, and like
Yeah.
every week he's going out there looking,
Yeah.
Every single day, spending large portions of time, or was it just this time he was like, okay, I might be in trouble next week because hey, Liana went home last week, and it's obviously me and Deshaun against this group. I need something. So
Yeah. Were you guys surprised of how it went down between Danny and Deshaun, both like just admitting that it's one of us and throwing their votes on each other?
I mean, it was very obvious, right? It's like once they sent Shan home, which they like Loki still had to do because she was not getting rid of Ricard, right? And that's the hard part. If Shan is cool to get rid of Ricard, then everything's different. But the moment that she's not down to get rid of Ricard, and doesn't seem like there's any time she's going to be down, because she wasn't down before the immunity challenge was even played, so she wasn't down then. So if she's not down to get rid of Ricard, she has to go then. But since then it was her, then Liana. They knew it had to be one of them two next, right? It was elimination, process of eliminations. One of us two next. So I like how honest they were about, listen, I'm going to vote for you, you vote for me. There's nothing we can do here. These four have been voting together since the Shan vote. So what are we supposed to do here? It's going to be one of us. Might as well throw the votes on each other. And then I even feel like Deshaun still try to Hail Mary to try to have it be him over Danny. I think people genuinely like Danny.
Well, you saw that the jury even said, right?
Yeah, didn't want to see him go home.
Said, like, I didn't want to see him go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so people just genuinely like Danny. He's a good dude, nice dude. And since that was the case, Deshaun tried to jump on the sword. And I think that's what I go back to the idol thing, is that I think they send Danny home because he didn't play the idol. Because I think his paranoia of the idol, like you were saying about Ricard, I think that was real. And I think he still thought he had an idol, so you might as well send him home with the idol in his pocket. And he didn't have no idol. So
yeah. I think it was idol paranoia. I think it was also, I think it was a little bit different from each perspective of each one of those players that made that decision. I think Ricard wanted him gone because I think Danny could beat him in some challenges. And I think that would be the best decision for him, for someone to go. And then Erica's going to have a different reason, Heather's going to have a different reason, and Xander's going to have a different reason.
But what blows my mind...
Xander actually wanted to keep Danny for that same reason.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? I mean, we're talking about Ricard's paranoia of a potential idol, and you've got a guy like Xander who, he's been competing well the whole season. He's been showing up in the challenges, hasn't won everything, but he's been competing. He's obviously a threat in the challenges, and he has an idol everybody knows about. So it's like you have a guy who, like, he might.
It's like, you know what? We're gonna just let Xander get to the final 5. He can play his idol. No.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because you started off this segment, Robbie, saying once again the idol paranoia involved Ricard, and all I could think of that once again idol paranoia did not involve the man with an idol. Like,
exactly. Right? And Ricard has been doing this the whole time where he's been he's been getting people to use their advantages and vote people out with
he hasn't though. He hasn't because he's been every tribal before Shane went home. He was except for Xander. Every tribal before he's like, Xander, use it. And Xander's like, nah, I'm all right.
Yeah,
well, how
a
about
lot
this
of
one,
people
Xander?
here thought that Ricard was actually going to go home this week, and that didn't happen. So.
Well, I mean, I feel partially vindicated because if Ricard did not win immunity, he was going home.
Oh, yeah.
100. They are very much aware of the threat that Ricard is, and that was the point. Is that they are not oblivious that Ricard is dangerous as fuck.
And Denny did throw that caveat out there last week where she said, like, listen, there's only so many players left and one of them is going to win. I'm paraphrasing.
Immunity.
One of them is going to win immunity. So, I mean, everything that we say here is kind of thrown up. I had a crazy strategy that I thought it was going to go towards Xander because everybody knows he has the idol. And he was going to be the one that picks the person. And I was like, okay, I think he would pick Danny out of everybody. And then I'm like, Danny goes home, and I'm like, that's the worst way to be half right, where you name the name, but your theory is completely wrong. But
and you're completely wrong because Xander was the only one that wanted Danny still there. So
yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But hey,
I was wrong too because I did think Deshaun would go over Danny out of that duo. I thought he sure it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Danny has, the pros of Danny is that he's very, very likable. But, Deshaun is definitely more of the mischievous one, and he's going to be the one, saying things, dropping little truth bombs, and, doing all of that. And you're not going to get that from Danny. Danny is very straightforward. And so I feel like for most of their games, it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep Deshaun. Danny, you know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah, I think
reliable.
I think what it boils down to, and we can kind of move into where we think where he went wrong with his game and where he could have maybe improved. And I think that was contingency plans. Deshaun just did a way better job with contingency plans if he couldn't move forward with the people he wanted to. Him and Danny were like brothers, but he still was making plans with a final 3 with Erica and Xander. Like, he had that on the back burner that could have played into why they wanted to keep him over Danny. What do you guys think?
I'm so upset about the tribal, though. I'm like so upset about the tribal for Deshaun. Like, you didn't have to do that. Like,
Ricard's sitting back like, yes.
This had nothing to do with it. But stop trying to give Ricard props he doesn't deserve.
Oh,
okay?
He deserves
that had
them.
Nothing. Get the hell out of here.
And let's not underestimate, he's been in this final 5 scenario before. He's comfortable in this setting. He could also win out. Let's not.
Frank, stop trying to pretend. Stop trying to pretend that this situation was because of Ricard. Deshaun standing up. That's why this is bullshit. Deshaun standing up or saying about Erica trying to blindside or wanting to take out Heather had nothing to do with Ricard.
No, that had nothing to do with Ricard.
And that's what I was upset about that's what I was talking about when I said I was upset about this tribal.
By Deshaun.
That was a huge mistake by Deshaun.
Oh, yeah.
And then you wanted to, I was saying I was very upset. That's what I was talking about. And you just wanted to give props to Ricard.
No, I said he was sitting back loving it.
I know. He had nothing to do with this. This was all Deshaun just making a terrible, terrible mistake. There was no reason to blow that up.
Because well, let's talk about it because Deshaun's here and Danny isn't. And
it didn't change the vote though, right?
Didn't change the vote.
It didn't change the vote, but does it some mistrust between Erica and Heather after.
Yeah.
But it solidifies mistrust between Erica and Deshaun.
Yeah. It makes it way more dynamic, this next tribal, way more dynamic.
Yeah,
I think.
I want to add to that. I think the only positive that might come out of that for Deshaun is the fact that if you want to look like you have no power in the game and you can somehow find a way to ostracize like anybody who wants to help you and vote for you to stay, and then all of a sudden the next day people are going to assume, okay, like Erica was pushing for Deshaun to stay, people were pushing for Deshaun to stay. You don't want to look like you're a pair. Then, maybe he's going to look like he's by himself. He's not as big of a threat. Maybe now like Ricard and Xander will still look as bigger threats than Deshaun because he looks like he has nobody right now. But I feel like there could have been a better way to do it. Like it felt almost like Jeff got to the end of Tribal and was like, are we ready to vote? And he was like, no. I wanted to cause drama today and I didn't have the chance. And by the way, Heather, just so you know, it's like, I don't know. It just felt really heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Really heavy-handed.
It did come across desperate in that he was like, okay, I'm probably going out of here and I'm going to just shake this shit up. And now he's like, okay, I shook the shit up and I'm not gone. So,
well, and how many of us here have played, orgs or whatnot? And if you think you're going, then one of the funnest things to do, or that you might go, one of the funnest things to do is completely out and trash somebody as your goodbye speech. Do you know what I mean? So maybe if Deshaun thought that he was going to be like, yeah, well, fuck you too. I'm going to burn your game. I'm going to burn your alliance and just burn the bridges and scorched earth policy and F
you can do that as you're getting your torch put out though.
Right. I agree, but maybe
so when you're doing it, when you're getting your torch put out, it's less effective.
I agree.
It's also not as messy.
You're just saying some shit.
It's also not as
messy. But it's not as effective. So, I don't know. I know this is not the recap podcast, but, if I don't know what the move is now. You go back to camp. Erica's pissed at you. Erica has also, confirmed what she said about Heather, though, right? Yeah. So, she said that Heather's probably thinking the same thing as me. Or same thing as well, which means
Erica.
Terrible. Deny. But she didn't. She copped to it.
What you say, you don't say I lied. You on the spot say, no, actually what I said was this, and then you lied to make it something lighter that they changed the word, kind of changed it to. That's what I would say.
Jeff, one of the best parts about being on this show as a super fan is that I'm getting to play with other super fans like Deshaun. And this is a classic Survivor move. When somebody's on the block, they think they're going out, they just throw out the wildest stuff to try to get paranoia going. Me and Heather have been working together this whole freaking time, and now he's trying to make it sound like we're somehow not. Sometimes you just got to go out with class. How hard would it be for Erica to throw? I just made that up on the spot, and it'd be so much easier to defend that than being
it's hard.
Heather's thinking the same thing.
Hard.
Heather's like, what?
It's hard being Johnny on the spot, though, right? I mean, I did not expect Deshaun to do that, especially because she knew going in and all along that Deshaun was going to be here tomorrow. So, unless Denny actually had an eye, I knew that she wasn't really sending Deshaun home.
Yeah.
So the need to defend herself definitely did not come into mind.
No, but you hinted towards something right there too. Is once again, and I know we don't, maybe she doesn't get enough credit here. Once again, Erica is on the right side of a split vote that she was part of. I mean, there's a lot of people involved. But once again, Erica wasn't fooled. And this is her third split vote that she was a part of, right? One, maybe she didn't have as much control over, but she was literally part of it. But then two, that she's a part of. And that brought me to one of the points where where I feel like maybe Danny, a person in Danny's position, I feel like could have done something different. I don't think Danny would have been the type of player to do it. But having a split vote in that scenario where you have an idol is something you should be able to predict. If it's a 4-2 vote, and you know that there's a paranoia out there that you might have an idol, you might be able to predict that it's going to be a split vote on you, right? Especially the fact that they're voting for each other. So I didn't feel like he was trying to play that at all, and he definitely didn't try to convince Deshaun to use his shot in the dark, right? Where if he could have somehow
They
There
can't.
is none.
It's all
is it
gone.
dead now?
It's gone.
I thought
Yeah,
It was
it was
gone.
dead last tribal, and I
last
think that's a
tribal.
shame
Okay.
because
That makes
it
total
would have
sense
been
then.
great to have it in a scenario
Yeah,
like
no,
I
you're
mean,
right. They didn't
why
mention it last
would we
time,
want
but he
the
didn't
thing
play.
to give you a 1 in 6 chance to be in play when there's 6 people left? Like,
Well, and yeah, it really should be in play if it's 1 in 6. And
Yeah.
it's just
no, we're gonna
six
kill
people,
that
but-
at 7.
exactly. But what I'm getting at is it should have been like you should be able to assume that a split vote might happen. And I didn't feel like he was trying to pull anybody over. I didn't feel like he was trying to find out who was doing what vote because all he had to do was sway one person. You know what I mean? All he had to do was sway one person. And
Danny
walk there naked.
McRae.
Walk there naked. Hold your hand over your junk and be like, listen, I have no idol with me. I don't own one. If I had it, I'd bring it with me. Like, I don't know, do something. But I feel like
ultimately,
happy
what
to go.
they should have done is Danny and Deshaun, who have been together since like minute 1 of getting onto the Luvu Beach,
yes,
say, we're
very
going to vote
first
for
day.
each other. I'm voting for him. He's voting for me. And then they put their 2 votes on somebody and you completely tied up. And
So when Robbie, I just want to interrupt real quickly. When Robbie was talking about coming up with your junk cover, just like in your birthday suit,
Yeah.
in my mind, I pictured Richard Hatch playing with idols and coming out like, I ain't got an idol.
Yep.
like,
Yep.
turn around.
Red and just doing the circle. Like, excuse me,
Yeah.
Jeff, I need to stand by the fire so I keep warm a little bit and then do a turn and be like, nothing on me and enjoy blurring that in the edit. But yeah, fix that in post.
Sorry, that just went straight into my head out of nowhere.
I don't know how much Survivor though Danny's watched.
That's fair.
He's a fan. Denny actually, I believe, worked with Danny's wife, and he's been a super fan of the show for a while, and it really meant something for him to be on.
And like I said,
Then
I
he
get it.
definitely should have gone for what Robbie was saying then.
Yeah, and the only reason why I say that is I'm not saying anytime you go tribal and you might be at risk, you should do fucking crazy shit because that's a bad idea. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
But if you're going to tribal and you're that convinced, you in your mind like they knew it was one of them. There was no argument. They weren't really pitching any other names. It was really just keep me over him. That was the debate. It wasn't even vote Erica out or vote out Xander or anybody else. It was just keep me over him. Like at that point, you got to go extreme. You got to Hail Mary. You got to do whatever you can, right? Last ditch effort. Try to stay no matter what and survive one more day on the beach. And then who knows what can happen. And I just feel like that last ditch effort wasn't there. But I feel like Danny got what he wanted out of the experience, right? I mean, I not to speak at a turn here, but I don't feel like the guy probably needs the money, to as much as some of the other people do. And maybe I don't know his financial situation. That's fine. But the guy played in the NFL for 6 years, so he's probably doing okay. But I mean, the guy dominated.
And he's selling them shirts too, man. Selling them Survivor shirts now. So,
but like he had a hell of an experience, right? And
yeah,
maybe going out loyal to the guy he was loyal with the whole time meant as much to Danny as trying to survive that one extra day, right? And I have respect for that too.
One thing that I loved, and not to talk too much about race, but I love the fact that at that tribal there was no Deshaun going after Danny going after Deshaun. They were committed to each other, even though they knew it was one of us. There was I think of like Big Brother when there's like 2 people on the block that like are friends, and they're like, I'm not going to campaign against my friend. Yeah. And it was legit, like kind of how it was, which is why Deshaun's like, "Hey, let me mess up Erica's game real quick," because I know
he says that.
Yeah,
He takes that moment where he's like, "Hey, I'm going to drop some truth bombs." I'm like, okay, like probably
he's about to out him. He's about to out
about Erica, but there's a slight chance he's fixing to tell everybody Danny was in the NFL.
Dave's in the Cowboys, yeah. That's what I thought for sure. And he's like, not that, Erica the Snake. And it's like, wait, no.
I wish Jeff, when Jeff did the gut check, I wish he would have asked Danny, like, how do you feel? Like, because he asked Xander and Erica. And did he ask Heather too? Yeah, I think.
He probably asked everybody, and then they just put what they wanted.
They probably
should, yeah.
We didn't see it.
But I just wish that I'm just very happy that they didn't they didn't go after each other. They knew it was one of the 2 of them, and they didn't try to convince why one of us should stick around. Deshaun okay.
I wish that we could have seen them vote together, put their 2 votes on somebody, tie it up,
Yeah.
put
Put
those 2 votes on Xander and be like, I don't have an idol, but this man does. And this is the opportunity right here. Let's blindside him with this idol.
Boom.
Y'all go revote, because Danny and Deshaun don't get a vote. But, you 3 that are voting, y'all go do this.
Yeah. And you say the 4 of us, next time, Ricard's gone. The 4 of us. We get Xander now. His idol's gone. Ricard's gone next. The 4 of us are in the final 4. Boom.
That's what I would have liked to have seen Danny do on his way out.
That would have been a fantastic play, considering you should have been able to guess that the split vote was coming, right? And especially if you say Danny's a super fan, or at least a big fan of the show and has watched a lot of Survivor, then you got to know that when, like I said, it's 4-2 and they think there's an idol in play, split vote is textbook Survivor, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
I thought they would. I thought the move would have been, and I'm sure they tried it. We obviously don't see everything, but I would have been like, look, you've already talked about getting rid of Heather eventually anyway. We need people that can beat Ricard so we could take this motherfucker out. So I can beat. I was just, if I'm Deshaun, I was this close to beating him today. I had the right words, just not in the right order. Danny did beat him. Xander, you have beaten him. Erica, you're super close to beating him as well. Heather can't win.
Get out. Get off my island.
So we should probably, Erica, since you've already talked about getting rid of Heather anyway, let's just keep the 4 of us. Let's get rid of Heather right now. And then let's the 4 of us, like you had to saying, let's the 4 of us rock together.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to go for Xander, because obviously they're not really trying to go for Xander, right? So I'm not even going to try to beat that drum, because you didn't take out Xander when you had a chance. You didn't take out Ricard when you had a chance. You chose Liana, so that part is irrelevant. So let's go for someone we haven't talked about, Heather, the one that Erica you can't beat anyway because she has the same game as you. Let's do that. Like, why don't we go for that right now? That's what I would do.
I feel like that was a really good play by Deshaun to make, like, just to get that conversation going. And then Erica, like, I haven't been thinking about that. But I don't know how much of that was just Erica pandering a little bit, similar to how Xander does that with people. He's like, yeah, you're right. That's exactly true. Right. But
no, it wasn't any, if you think about it, because she said at the tribal she says to Heather, I would think she's thinking the same thing as me. You know what I'm saying? So she wasn't pandering. She was being honest.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point. But Erica's hasn't she won an individual immunity, and she had she's done other things. She didn't have an entire episode about her trying.
Yeah, you're right.
Just the fact that she showed up to a challenge. So let's have a whole episode about it. That didn't happen with Erica. That's Heather's story. So
which is why
I've gotten a lot more Heather though lately. Like she at least has got
Frank, when there's 5 people, you got to put someone on the TV. Yeah. Come on.
Last night, not lately. We got not a lot. We got a little bit of Heather last night, and I was like, "This is it. Heather's going. We're getting some screen."
I thought the same thing when we actually got some confessionals from Heather. I was like, this is the
song, y'all."
But no, did you guys think? Sorry, let's go back to Danny. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here.
Yeah, so we kind of all covered what we think he could have done better. What did you love about Danny's game? Why do you love Danny as a player?
I mean, I think Danny is somebody I would want to play with. You know what I mean? Like, if Danny is with you, I don't think you have any doubts about him. He doesn't seem deceptive at all. He's going to be really straightforward. Like I go back to that split tribal that they had where, Danny and Deshaun are laying in the shelter and Deshaun's like, so who are we going to vote? And Danny's like, you serious, bro? Like, we're voting out Evie. No doubts about it. He is straight-laced, such a genuinely nice person that he's who you want to play with.
Yep. I like the fact that he is always trying. Even when Deshaun was like, we need to throw this and get rid of Erica, he's like, we sure? Like, do we really want to do that? And then when they were like getting the water in the beginning of the season, he's always given his all no matter what. But unlike a guy that is so focused on doing the right thing, he's willing to hear what you have to say about the other idea. He's not turned off the ideas. But he's in his moral fiber is like, I normally wouldn't do this, but if you're like, hey man, I got this thing that's a little nefarious. What are your thoughts? He's like, I'll listen. I mean, I'll listen. And then if you're like, what do you think? He's like, well, by golly, that might work. And then he'll do it.
That's probably the ally Ricard would have wanted, right? Some guy who's loyal shows up and will do the shady shit, but won't come up with the shady shit.
He's used to being told what plays to run, like
and then doing his best.
And then do it. You're right, 100%. So if you tell him
it all out on the field,
listen, you're like, hey, this dude is going to run a curl. I don't think so, but I'm gonna play the curl because that's what you just said. And you're like, I don't. And then when he runs the fly route and he runs past him, he's like, I told you, I thought it wasn't gonna be a curl, but I bid on the curl. That wasn't there.
But he's not even pissed, right? He's not even pissed. He just takes that and moves on. Right?
Yeah. Next play. Next play. Yes.
You know what? It's something that's interesting too, because we're talking about what we feel Danny did really well, or what are his highlights, I guess.
What we liked about him,
in a way, and obviously being ridiculously loyal, almost like Wu, you know what I mean, to a fault, where they give you not just loyal like Heather's loyal, but also they give you value in the challenges. Right. And they're not going to stab you in the back. But also in this episode, we saw that he pulled the trigger on trying to find an idol. And I don't know if he was doing that every episode and they just showed it this time. But he was out there looking. I think the edit did him dirty. I don't think it was right beside him like they tried to make it look like, because
I don't think that was an idol.
No, or whatever it is, the scroll or whatever. Right. But they showed a scroll of paper rolled up somewhere. But every time they showed it, there was a cut and then a zoom. It wasn't like other times where guys are standing
like
there.
Like the one they did with Tiffany, where they're like,
I don't even know if that was a thing though, because he said that all he found was some wood and some burlap. So if that's some burlap right there.
No, there was a scroll. But I feel like it was honestly, I feel like it was B-roll. I feel like it was just they just put it in there. If we don't see it next episode come in somehow, then I feel like they were just trying to make it look like, because in the edit, because you've already watched it, that Ricard is going to bring it up. So just throw some B-roll of some random scroll in a rock. But I feel like he just went out there, he looked, couldn't find anything, but he was trying. And how many players were back at camp thinking, oh shit, one of us is out looking for an idol. And the rest of them are just sitting there trying to make fire, which I think was an ominous foreshadowing when they showed Ricard trying to make fire. I really liked how they filmed this episode. I feel like that was a bit of foreshadowing, but we'll see what comes there.
So we've seen a lot of professional athletes play Survivor. Where do y'all rank Danny in that tier?
That's what I think he did really well. Being a professional athlete, when you look at a professional athlete, you can tell they're athletic. Even though he was able to deceive everyone and not let them know that that's what he really was, I love that he did really well. I don't know exactly what he was doing besides being really likable, but it was working, because most of the time someone that looks like that goes home much sooner than he did.
I think he's the second best after Brad Culpepper.
Ding ding, that's exactly.
I think we're.
That's a good placement.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. You stole that from me.
Thanks.
Let me rephrase. You beat me to it. Okay, you didn't steal it.
I think
you beat me.
And you know what? In all honesty, he might be better than Brad, because Brad played twice, and Brad was much better the second time than the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, but we know that though. We know. Yeah, it's hard to put that. It's hard to.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But like,
enjoy Brad Culpepper because that's more of the type of player that I'm drawn to. Just kind of.
But you can't.
And him and Danny are such polar opposites. I mean, you literally cannot get, except for the fact that they both played professional sports, they have nothing in common.
You can't discount the fact that everybody liked Danny.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Brad's
He's super likable.
But man, if Brad could play his game and have everybody like him, like everybody like Danny, I'm sure he would choose that. He maybe wouldn't get invited back as quickly, but being liked is.
But what options do we have, right? So we have Uncle Cliffy, we have Scott Pollard, we have Jeff Kent, Brad Culpepper, John Rocker. We have does Elizabeth count? What's her name from 39?
Yeah, the swimmer.
Yeah, does she count?
I mean, she's a professional athlete. I mean,
Well,
She's an Olympian.
The whatever you want to call it, the fake Canadian that was on there a couple seasons
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah,
he was a
Law.
professional hockey player at one
Tom
point.
Law.
I don't. Yeah.
Todd Laidlaw. Yeah, I think of all those that we just named right now. I don't know if we're missing anyone. I think I would have to go Brad Culpepper's second game, then Danny, then
Ball.
oh yeah, I forgot about Alan. Yeah. He's down the list. What's her name from the swimmer? Elizabeth. I think it's her next, third. Then I gotta go Scott Pollard, I guess. Then Uncle
I think
Cliffy.
you gotta put Jeff Kent in third.
Jeff Kent third, then her, then Uncle Cliffy, and then yeah, I think that's kind of the Allen Ball, I guess.
And then
Then
Scott
Todd
and
Laidlaw.
John Rocker way down here because they both suck.
John Rocker was terrible.
John Rocker didn't play Survivor. Like,
No, he wasn't there for that.
he was cast, but he never played.
No,
He
correct.
was
Correct.
physically there and got his ass
Yeah.
kicked.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think he's definitely one of the best professional athletes we've ever seen, and I think it is hard to compare him to Culpepper because he played a very different style game, and I think Danny's style of game, if repeated, would work. He continued to do well because I don't think he's coming out of this season looking like a big, scary player that people would be intimidated to play with.
He's a hard
there
one to
was-
bring back, though, right? He's a hard one to bring back just because of the fact he didn't have a lot of those flashy, memorable moments. But if I don't know, like unless you did a professional athlete returnee season, but
I think he's an easy one to bring back because he's so likable.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. But I mean, if you had it depends how many likable guys people you're trying to bring back, I guess. But like, I don't want a whole season
like
of
James-
likable people, right? Like that's
Any season going forward that they bring returners, it has to be half POC. And so, you think in recent years, who like what male of color is, Danny's got to be up there in one of those top spots.
Well, I think Danny is at the top of like the hero character card for the new generation. Who else is going to be a front runner?
I'd bring Nasir over Danny if you're going hero.
Nasir. Well, yeah, Nasir.
I think
But it's
Nasir's
Nasir and
up there.
Danny. I think they're
he's
both
up
the
there.
heroes.
I don't have Nasir over Danny in terms of heroes.
Oh, I don't know.
I think
man.
Nasir.
Nasir's got
I
an
think
awesome
Nasir is.
story.
Nasir's
I think Nasir has a
lovable,
fantastic
yeah.
story. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a lovable story. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that since Danny went further, and everyone universally liked Danny throughout.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I just feel like he didn't initiate as much as Nasir tried to initiate.
True.
Right.
Nasir's
And I
a
feel
better
like
player.
if
Nasir's
there's
a
gonna
better
be-
player.
Yeah, if there was gonna be a tiebreaker where like you get two really likable people, but one will pull the trigger and try to make a move, and we'll pull somebody aside and say let's backstab those people, and we'll try to out other people for looking for idols and shit. I think that person's more likely to get brought back. But then again, I'm just some random dude. But like,
I mean, is Nasir a better player than Danny? Because
I don't know.
I
This
think
is the
Danny's
debate,
a better
though.
player than Nasir.
by definition, Heather's a better player than Danny.
Well, no, I
Right?
mean,
That's
we're
not
not
how we
I'm
It's
define.
definitely
If you guys want to
it's
start,
definitely not by
because-
placement.
I'm saying
No.
not by
Not by
placement.
placement. We're not
Further
talking about
doesn't
by
mean he's the better
placement.
player, right?
Correct.
Who
No, we're with
do
you. I'm with
think
you,
is
Robbie.
a better player, Danny or Nasir? Because I think Danny
Nasir.
is a better player.
I think Nasir's a better player.
I think Danny.
I think Danny had better opportunities.
I think
But I
Danny's
think
better
Nasir's a better player.
socially, but Nasir's better strategic and
What did
probably
Nasir do
competitive
strategically?
physically. Nasir is a beast in challenges.
That's
He's
true.
great in challenges.
I mean, relax,
What did Nasir
relax,
do
Frank.
strategically?
Relax, the dude carry like if they were actively trying to throw, and he's like, no.
Yes.
Yeah,
But that
what
didn't make
did
him a beast. The other tribes were not good.
No,
the other
you can't-
That
the other
does
tribe
make
was
you a
not good.
beast.
You
That
can't
does.
undercut-
is not good strategically. His strategy was, hey, those two guys down on the beach are looking for an idol. We're final five right here,
Yeah.
or us four to the end, and then going.
But
into
that's
the
a good
merge.
strategy. But that's
I
not.
do,
He
I
didn't have
agree.
the social skills to pull
But-
off the strategy.
but
But
that-
it doesn't mean it's bad strategy.
When
But
Denise,
that was all of his strategy, and
No,
it
but-
wasn't a good one.
when Denise and Adam were out there looking for the water well, and they got outed for looking for the water well for a little too long, right? The people who outed them did it much smoother when there was like, hey, where's Denise? Oh yeah, where's Adam? And then everybody just pieced it together. Oh yeah, shit, they're probably out there looking for an idol, right? Well, the difference with Nasir is he was a little bit more, I don't know, blunt with like,
Yeah.
hey guys, I was just over there and I saw them looking. Where it seems much more suspicious when people are just, they have a clear motivation, right? And Nasir's motivation was clear. The other thing is too is he kind of got screwed by Sydney's lack of foresight when Nasir goes and tries to build a bond there, and Sydney's like, I don't need bonds, fuck it, I'm just gonna go tell everybody.
I'm Sydney.
Right? But these are examples of Nasir trying.
I'm Sydney.
Right? I'm Sydney. I should win because I'm here. Anyways, like I feel like Nasir and Danny are both worthy of coming back if it was something like that, like a hero's tribe or whatever, like something like that,
Second
right?
chances. I think they're both likable people.
Yeah.
But I just think that 9 times out of 10, Danny is going to perform better than Nasir.
Oof. You and I can bet on that.
That's tough.
We can take that
I
one
think
off.
Danny would be able to immerse himself into a group of people better than Nasir, but that depends on how long we have. Because I think Nasir is going to, I think he's going to be a way better social player the next time, just because the doors that this is going to open for him is going to be crazy.
I don't think it's the last time we see Nasir regardless. I think we're going to see him somewhere else on some, if it's not Survivor again, he'll be on something because the guy's like, he's entertaining to watch. His confessionals are kind of hilarious.
We might get Nasir like on the Amazing Race.
As much as
his
Kevin
wife
is trying to say Nasir
I
is
think
the worst,
Nasir gets so many
challenge beast ever.
demographics.
I feel like he did quite well.
I want to edit that. Nasir was good in challenges. I would not call him a challenge beast.
You need to go back and watch, man. He
Nasir was a
single-handedly
challenge
crushed them by himself. Like,
Well, I mean, he retied knots. He
You're probably
powered those logs through. Yes, with
You're
his
probably
body.
going to deny Ricard as a challenge beast, are you?
He's won 3 individual immunities. That's a challenge beast.
Okay. Okay, I just
He's
want
won
to
3
make sure you're
individual
not going to
immunities.
try to
I mean-
steal
leave it
anything
to
from
Frank
him.
to bring Ricard into this.
I have
But yeah, like you can't go a sentence without talking about Ricard. And the best part, Kylie, let me tell you something. This is the funniest thing is that early in the season, Robbie was just like all over Ricard's dick. Like Robbie just loved Ricard. And at this point, he's like, Frank, settle down, man.
Yeah.
He's like, I've already talked about how good Ricard is. It's fine. But Frank, relax. But Frank just can't help himself. He just.
No, because the farther he gets, the more empowered I get. Because day one he had so many haters, and I was sitting there trying to defend him, and then
No, but
everyone's
we
telling me
called
I'm
it.
an idiot.
I don't know if it was
so.
you or me, Frank. I don't know if it was you or me, but we called it. I want to say like episode 2 or so, where we said maybe episode 3, but how much of the Shan show it was when it was really obviously it was a duo, and we said okay, because of the edit. You know, we said it early on. The odds are Shan's going to get axed, but be really entertaining. But get axed kind of like just after merge, and Ricard would make it further. I think we called a lot of what was happening as we saw Erica getting a little bit more of the edit. We said, okay, maybe she's going to make it a little further. They're building a character there. The only one we really screwed up on is Xander. I don't know how many people pegged Xander to like. The guy is so
Be good.
slick, man.
Be good at this game, yeah.
Well, I
So
thought he
where
would
do
be
you guys think the
athletic,
game's going to go next? That's a big question. Like, what happens next? Because we have 2 more tribals.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, let's talk about that, right?
Let's.
New beach. 2 more tribals. Then fire. To have a final 2 with the other person not being taken there.
I think it's going to be 2 more immunity challenges. So
He said 2 more tribals.
No, he said 2
two
immunity challenges. Yeah, he said 2 immunity challenges, 2 tribals, a fire-making tiebreaker,
a fire-making tiebreaker.
and a winner. I think that's what he said. He didn't.
I think it goes from 5 to 4 with 1 immunity challenge. Then
Yep.
you have an immunity challenge with the fire-making tiebreaker between the people.
Oh, I thought it was going to go 5 to 4, 4 to 3. Those final 2 people, they're going to have 1 more immunity challenge. Those 2 that don't win immunity
I don't think so.
are going to have to do fire.
I think you're right, Kevin. But then it would have to be 3 immunity challenges, right? By definition, I think it's going to be in between you guys. If I was to guess, I would say that it's going to be an immunity challenge and somebody go, so you're down to 4. Immunity challenge and somebody go down to 3, and all three of you. That's it. All three of you fire making. You can't make. You're the last one to make a fire. You're gone. That's it. No final.
Poor Heather.
You have
Poor
to
Heather.
You have to win the fire making. But here's the thing.
Poor-
What was the photo that we ended up picking for the thumbnails for this video? I didn't see that in the episode where she was like. She's
She's making the fire. She's gonna be making it.
There's a
for
picture
sure.
of,
Oh my
of Heather
gosh.
making the fire, but then in this episode, when they actually showed that, it was Ricard doing it, and Heather was just handing him burlap. So I don't know, man. But it's gotta be
Frank
different.
has a Heather Ricard final 2, and Ricard winning in a sweep. That's what Frank has
I
right
hope
here.
it's Ricard, Erica, and Deshawn in the end because
That would
those
be a great final 3.
those are
I
the
think that's
three.
the smartest way for them to go.
Well, those are the 3 I've got left in my pool. Okay, but also on top of that, they would have amazing stories because they've all had a different angle on the season.
Path to
I know,
get
I know
here.
Erica's
Yeah.
been with Deshawn, but not really. She started
No,
with
she hadn't
Lulu,
moved. Yeah.
and right away they wanted to get her.
They were well, not right away, but yes, pretty quickly they were trying to throw stuff to get rid of her.
Yeah, they were literally trying to throw challenges to get rid of
But
her.
did you know
and
that?
the biggest challenge beast of the season,
True.
the Seer, didn't let that happen. And I'm gonna keep hammering that all night. But it didn't happen. And then they want to get her out with the hourglass challenge, or that episode. She saves herself there. There's a few times where people are trying to get her out, and it's just not happening. And then she won that immunity when she needed to win it, when there was the
I just
double
feel
tribal.
like a lot of Erica's game, like we know that she did things when she needed to, but
Yeah.
did she know that she did things when she needed to? Like, does
I don't know that she does.
Does she know that Danny and Deshawn wanted to throw that challenge? Does she know that she
She does
was
not.
in the merge vote? Does she know?
She does not.
You know what I mean? So it's like
The
how-
merge vote maybe. The merge vote maybe. Merge vote maybe. Merge vote was writing was on the wall. She did not get picked. Nasir got picked. Writing was on the wall.
Well, I mean, that
But-
one she probably has a little bit of an idea.
I don't think
but
she
I'm
would have
saying
broke.
Yeah, but
she wouldn't have broke the
scenario,
hourglass
does
if
know
she thought that.
everything?
No,
She was
wouldn't-
safe.
Yeah, she wouldn't have broke it and put all of her supposed allies on the block if she thought
Yeah.
she was safe. She knew.
One thing I just thought about this moment, and this is to go back to what we were talking about in terms of Danny. Danny comes back because I think Jeff loves him.
It's a good idea.
I think Danny comes back because you know how Jeff gets those man crushes on some of these dudes. I think he has a man crush on Danny, and I think he respects the fact that Danny basically cursed him out.
Just dumb.
It's
Jeff.
gonna be Ghost Island. That's when he comes back. It's gonna be Ghost Island 2, and it's gonna be the hourglass challenge again or some crazy shit. And
If you break the hourglass, Danny comes into the
Yeah,
game.
that's exactly
and any
it.
survivor from now on. moving
undo
forward.
history. Danny comes back into the game.
He'll be like the Button and Paul on that
Yeah,
season.
Sydney's like, I went out on that vote. What the fuck? Danny was
It
pissed.
doesn't matter. Danny, gets
Danny
lost.
was pissed. Therefore, Danny comes back.
No,
Yeah, so who do you think it's going to be next?
Ricard if he doesn't win.
Regard if he doesn't win.
so Xander's definitely safe because he has to
Yeah.
use his idol at 5,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. If Ricard wins, it's Deshaun.
I'm gonna say Heather. I feel like I would drag Heather to the end, but I feel like Erica is committed at this point.
And I
And
kind of got to like.
I don't think it makes sense. I wouldn't do it. I would drag Heather to the end with me 100%. I feel like the guys in there have like the strategy Xander and Ricard have been able to pull off with getting votes to happen when they should clearly have gone. Like as a viewer, clearly you should have gone. There must be they have to have their claws in these people. And yeah, I feel like yeah. Erica's looking to make resume moves, I think, and she might look at trying to get somebody who has a similar gameplay out as a move when really.
So we haven't seen a
Yeah.
female winner since Sarah Lucina in Game Changers.
He ain't this time either.
Get a female winner in 41.
Nah. Nope.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's possible now unless it's an Erica Heather final 2. I don't think it's possible unless, like I said, unless Erica does some crazy shit, wins immunity, and somehow does a bunch of shit to add to what.
Does
she's already
Erica
done.
beat
But
Ricard?
No.
No
Does
one
she
beats
beat-
Ricard.
Nobody beats Ricard.
Does she beat Xander?
Possibly.
No.
Does she beat Deshaun? I don't think she beats Deshaun. Deshaun has 3 votes on the jury, unless Ricard's there.
I think she could. She can share a lot of Deshaun's victory for the first half of the game. I guess the difference between Deshaun and Erica at this point is Deshaun had a very strong alliance that could have run it to the end, and it crumbled, which is a negative on Deshaun. Whereas Erica had nothing, built something with people, and was able to kill that alliance, right? With the
Well,
help
let's
of
count them, right? Let's count the votes.
Yeah.
So Tiffany. If we have a final 2 and we have Erica and Deshaun, Tiffany, who's she voting for?
Oof. Who knows what the fuck Tiffany's doing?
I mean, I just feel like Deshaun is going to be able to speak so well that, I just have a hard time betting against him. Against Eric.
So okay, so Deshaun. Does Deshaun get Tiffany's vote?
I want to say Erica gets it.
Okay, Erica. The next one is Nasir, right?
Yeah.
Who gets Nasir votes for who?
I don't know.
He votes for
Erica.
Deshaun. He was down to vote out Erica.
Erica was there when he got voted out. Erica voted him
Yeah,
out.
he votes for Deshaun. I
would say
think.
so. I would say so.
Evie.
Deshaun.
I want to say Erica.
Deshaun.
I think Deshaun as well.
She had a bond with Deshaun,
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah. And they were, and Erica wasn't working with her neither. Who's next? Shan.
Deshaun.
Here's the question for you.
Liana?
Here's the question though. There's 2 things that we mentioned here in these retrospectives, right? We mentioned how we haven't had a female winner in a long time. And we mentioned the alliance that the core alliance that crumbled and how strong, their passion for working together was. And, you have to assume based on how passionate that was that everybody in that alliance would vote for Deshaun. But how much of a pull would it be for the women on the jury, even if the vote was close between Deshaun and Erica, to give Erica, because of what it represents for that group of people,
I hope not.
right?
I feel like, once again, going back to Big Brother, we see basically Davon pull that same move, and we get Nicole Franzel as a winner over Paul. I want them to vote for the people that deserve to win. And I'm not saying Erica doesn't deserve to win, but I don't want it to be.
You're saying
based
Paul
on her-
did.
I don't want it to be based on her gender. I don't want her to win because she's a girl.
I'm just saying I don't want to belittle one cause over another because that's not my place. I'm just saying it means something to people, right? And I'm curious how much it's going to mean to the people who are on the jury, right? Whether it means something to me or not, I'm really curious about, because it's a really passionate season right now, and symbolism and what things stand for means something, right? And it's been spoken of openly, and I'm really curious as to how much that'll translate into the vote. So I and if you're down to, like I said, Erica and Deshaun, then there is that added aspect, you can say, to both of those people. So
Well, and you kind of have it versus too, you know what I mean? Like, speaking on what, kind of going with what you're saying, these are 2. Erica's talked about the, wanting to see a female win because it's been so long. Deshaun's talked about, the race and wanting to stick with, the people that look like him. So, I mean, you kind of have those 2 causes going up against each other a little bit. And so, I mean, ultimately, I just hope it comes down to gameplay. But,
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be those 2 at the end together anyways.
No, you think it's Ricard and Heather. Ricard
I
winning
think-
it all.
Well,
Ricard
I'm
and
not
Xander.
I'm not going
I'm
to
gonna
bet
laugh
against
so fucking
Ricard.
hard if it's Ricard and
Not gonna
Heather.
bet.
We can play this back.
Oh man, if only. I'm not going to bet against Ricard because if he
Of course you're
survives
not.
it, and I think if he gets immunity this next one or survives this next vote, I think him or Xander wins it all. I don't see how you can get both of them out, and I think either one of them in the end is going to beat Heather or Erica.
I don't think Xander has a good resume to win anymore because
there's got to be some reason why they've just let him skate by.
I think he
they
does have a
don't.
resume. I think if
They
he can
don't-
get out Ricard, he does have a resume because he will have told all those people on the jury, like, we shouldn't have got Ricard.
still has
I
the
was right.
potential.
It worked out for me. I think I don't think you should underestimate Xander. I think he's fantastic, and I think he
if
would.
he's in the same boat as Erica, if he has a great final episode,
Yeah.
then maybe there's a story there. Going into the final, I feel like it's Ricard, Deshaun up here, Erica and Xander in the middle, and then Heather way down here.
No.
And there's no way Xander could get out Ricard unless he idles him out himself. Because if you get out Ricard, it's 100% a team effort. Everyone wants Ricard gone. So
Yes, but
Xander cannot take...
didn't want it when everyone else did. He wanted to time it better, and he's either going to time it right or time it wrong.
Yeah, and Xander's told people that very clearly. Like he really planted the seed, and you got to think Xander might have known that Danny was going, because he straight up told Danny, in part of this episode, that he voted out. Sorry, he didn't vote out Ricard because he didn't want to be the next biggest threat, and he said it openly. He was pretty much saying, "Here's my gameplay. Please remember it when you go to Ponderosa, so you can let everybody know that I have a scheme as to why I'm doing what I'm doing." And, it's tricky because Xander played really hard at the beginning of the game, got all the idols and the tricks and his little bag of tricks going. But he has somehow made people not vote for the guy who had the advantages the whole time. Like that's
so. Then here's the thing, though. Okay,
you can't beat Ricard.
So
with that. You can't beat Ricard with that. He's got to be good.
If Ricard, you can't beat anyone with that. So if Ricard doesn't win immunity next time, and then Ricard goes home, Xander can't say, "Look at me, I just took out Ricard." It's like, no, bro. Everybody want to take out Ricard. Like,
Well, but I mean, he has kind of done that. He's like, "Look at me, I took out Liana. Look at me, I took out Shan. Look at me, I took out."
And if he can
Ricard."
sell it and get people to believe it at
no,
Final
Frank, I can't even sit here and let you speak this blasphemy. There's literally no way that if you do the thing everyone wanted to do, because even though Xander did not get out Ricard last time, Erica also didn't vote out Ricard last time. Right, everyone, those four were on board with not doing Ricard and doing Liana.
Yes, I agree.
So
he's making the same amount. He's doing the same amount of work as everyone else. But the difference is those people that were on the blue tribe did nothing the first half of the game, and he did. So I think he would definitely win over them. They did nothing.
What do you mean they did nothing? They won challenges, so they had to go to tribal.
And that's part of the game of Survivor.
That's the game of Survivor.
It doesn't add to your resume. It does not add to your resume. Winning.
You're a dominant tribe.
That's not a resume builder in my book. That's being.
I'm glad you're not on the jury and voting. I'm glad you're not voting because that's terrible. Winning immunity challenges, both in the individual phase and the tribe phase, matter. That's how you come in with numbers. Everyone on Luvu except for Sydney is sitting.
To a certain extent, but when you win all of them, you don't get to play. You don't get to test anything that you did, so it's all irrelevant.
Well, that's why Sydney goes on first.
Can we just
merge? That's.
It's kind of funny that Deshaun was literally unable to throw a challenge. I know there's no weight on that, but just think of the irony of that, right? Like, not only did he didn't have to play strategically for the first half, but even when he tried to play strategically in the first half,
they were too good. They were too dominant that he couldn't even throw the challenge. He's retying knots. He's retying knots, and Nasir's like, let me help you. Let me help you untie this thing. He's like, no, I untied it and then I retied it.
And if you remember this sequence of events, I'm pretty sure in the episode where they wanted to throw it, Danny and Deshaun wanted to throw it, they didn't tell Nasir, and Nasir single-handedly won. In the next episode, they went to Nasir and said, "We're thinking about maybe throwing it," and Nasir's like, no, let's not do this. But they had to get him on board, even though they didn't want to, because we
couldn't have him trying to single-handedly win again. This is not not a thing we can do.
Like, jump on my back, I will carry everybody to the. No. Meanwhile, Danny's like, I thought that'd be my job in this tribe, but I guess.
But apparently, though, that doesn't count in Frank's book, right? None of that counts to Frank, because if you do anything in the tribe phase, doesn't count if you do anything but win in the tribe phase, it doesn't count towards the end.
No, if you don't get to have receipts and see if those checks bounce or not, like, I'm sorry.
Receipts.
It's all for nothing.
They had cash in the bank. What they need receipts for? They were winning. They kept their money. They didn't need receipts of showing what they bought because they had money.
Final.
There's more to it though. There's more to it than that. I think if you're a tribe and you do really, really well at the beginning and you just win out like the Luvu tribe did, that's great. But then if you go to your very first tribal, Sydney, and
Sydney goes home. Sydney goes home.
You voted out, then that doesn't mean you played a good game at all. Like you couldn't survive one tribal. The difference is if you can make it.
We're not talking about Sydney, Robbie. We're not talking about Sydney.
What I'm saying is, but contrast. I'm just saying, Kevin, you're saying if you do really well at the start of the game, that counts for something. I don't think it counts for anything if you're the first or second boot once you actually go to tribal. I think it counts.
Oh no, I'm talking about.
I'm saying
it counts for something if you're able to use that opportunity to build the alliances that you need, like Deshaun
and relationships.
Right?
Yeah, like relationships.
How do you
all I'm doing is trying to say.
Speak to
easily.
It, how do you use that in final tribal?
So I'm sitting in the final tribe. My tribe, we never went to tribal. We never went to tribal in the tribe phase. Never, because we're fucking dominant. Xander here was floundering like a fucking fish, and Boche went home, and fucking Abraham went home. They're losing motherfuckers. My guys were dominant, and that's why Nasir, Danny, Erica, I'm sitting next to Erica. Am I sitting next to Erica at this point? Erica, Heather, these motherfuckers that are with me, that are here to vote for me today, because we got here together. Whereas Xander only has Evie and Tiffany to vote with him because they went to so many fucking tribals.
But then I would be like, and then they played, and the reason your tribe won was because you were with a professional cowboy player and you had Nasir carrying you.
But I think the argument's a lot simpler than that. I think the argument's a lot simpler.
My vote's not for you.
No, if you're Deshaun, you can say, listen, the first thing I would do is agree with the jury, and I would say, you guys are right. We did have it easier at the beginning because we were fortunate enough to be able to win these challenges.
To win.
They happen to be designed in such a way that we had the advantage. We won. But unlike people who got annihilated immediately after the merge, like you can throw her name out there, she's not on the jury, Sydney, right? You can say just being on the Luvu tribe wasn't the advantage, but what you did on the Luvu tribe is what I made into my advantage. I used that time to build those alliances. When I went to the island, I bonded with Shan. When I did these things, I used my time to my advantage. It wasn't just that I won, which I feel I should get some credit for, but I also utilized that time to build the alliances that I needed to get Erica to keep me when I needed her to keep me. Erica and Heather should have voted me out. They never did because I used that time to build those. Like, I feel like that's the angle you take. You agree with them, but then go at a different angle that they can't disagree with. Because
I think you're right.
But
Robbie, I think you're right.
But you know what I mean? Erica can
I think the Golden Boy would win over Deshaun or Erica or Heather. That's
Erica
my
can
prediction.
Say the same thing. That's the problem. It doesn't differentiate. The tribe game doesn't differentiate.
No, but it's not about differentiating. He's trying to say that Xander would win over Deshaun if he's sitting there next to Deshaun, and I don't think so. I don't think that anyone brings up the fact that the other people had more hardship in the tribe phase because...
No, I'm not saying they bring that up. I'm saying he just has more to speak to. He has more content to spin a certain way to pitch to a jury because he's had to play more often and more frequently. He had to survive part of the game going to tribals without a vote. Like, there's things he can talk about.
He went to a single tribal without a vote. He went to one single tribal without a vote.
In the end, we can't discount what's about to happen. Okay, you're down to the final five, and if you're on the jury, there's a lot of weight goes into what these guys and gals are going to do. When it's clutch, it's game time right now. This is it. Do or die. You need to win or you're gone. I get it. He has an idol. He's going to be safe, but he could still win so somebody else doesn't have immunity. He can still make the right choice on the fire making if he has that power. He still has the ability to, Xander, this is what I'm talking about, to make big flashy moves. They all do. Erica does too.
Yes, there's still time. There's still time.
Recency bias is huge. We're talking like they're going to have 3 days to do a lot of shit. And if
it's what have you done for me lately?
If somebody takes absolute control, then they can at least tie Ricard when it comes to look how much control I've had on the game, right? And if Xander comes and beast modes this right now, or if Erica comes and beast modes it and wins out at the final, and they say I played Koei this whole time and just relied on my social until I couldn't rely on hidden immunity idols and stuff anymore, and I had to go out there and show what I could do and win it out, and they did that. Like I said, recency bias is huge, man. So I don't want to discount what's about to happen just because we've watched what's happened already.
All right, so official winner pick. Frank, who's taking home the title of Sole Survivor next week?
I hope
Ricard.
it's Ricard, but I could see it being Xander too. I think it's one of the two, hopefully.
Okay, Robbie?
Fuck me. I said Ricard last week, but I feel like he's gonna get Devins to where it's like everything looks good and then fucking finale night he's fucked. And
He's got a tough road, but I really think he just needs to get out. To get past
goddamn.
more. If he could, oh man, he's so close.
Robbie? Say a name.
Yeah, I'll say fuck me. I'll say Ricard. I'll stick
Kevin?
with it.
Deshaun, my guy, Deshaun.
That's a solid pick, man. That's a solid pick.
And I am going to say that Deshaun is going to win.
Throw a dark
Xander
horse
has-
vote on Erica right now.
Xander
Yeah,
doesn't
that'd be my
have
dark
the
horse.
resume, and Ricard has too big of a path, like a bumpy road ahead of him.
But he's so versatile in
He's
challenges.
great,
Like,
and if he's
really, what are they going to
final-
throw at him that he can't beat?
I'm not discounting Ricard. Ricard is great. If Ricard gets there, Ricard wins against anybody. I don't think Ricard
Yes.
can get there. Ricard
Correct.
has to have everything go in his favor. He has to win at least one immunity challenge, possibly two, and then possibly fire making.
How many
So,
jury members are there?
He's got to.
If there's final
I
three.
think that's very doable, though. I really think it's doable.
Tiffany, Evie, Nasir, Shan, Liana, Danny. If it's final two, Xander, uh, 9.
Okay, so he would only and you have to assume if Deshaun is there, he has 3 votes based on what we've seen so far
Yes.
this season, right? Which means anybody else who's going against Deshaun can only sacrifice one other vote if there's 9
But
jury.
if Ricard is there against Deshaun, is that what you're saying?
If anybody's against Deshaun, is what I'm saying.
Well, if Ricard is against Deshaun, does Shan 100% vote Deshaun? I don't think so.
I don't
He
think
votes
so.
Ricard.
I think the fact that it's hard to say, man. I don't know.
I don't.
There's some
I
powerful
think-
forces in this season, man.
I
feel
do,
like
but
it's gonna
I
be a
think they have a
fight.
powerful bond too, and I think she knows more than anyone how good he is.
But you know what? Deshaun did what he had to do to get to the end and win in his mind, right?
Yeah,
I think
know
Shan would
Ricard's-
appreciate that. So
Ricard's in a final setting, I think Ricard's gonna be able to verbally just destroy people. He'll be like, the dude got lucky and picked the flame box. Like he almost went home instead of Danny because he opened his mouth. I think Ricard is going to go offensive, and
My
he's going
God.
to. I think. He's
yeah,
gonna
but you know
come
what,
at
Kevin?
people
Let
if
me
he gets
take
in.
this one. Let me take this one, Kevin. I think Ricard's problem, if he has a problem, is that he's so knowledgeable about how knowledgeable he is, and it might come off as incredibly condescending. If he talks to the jury any way like he talked to Shan, then it might not come off as well as it did with Shan. Right? Like he was very, very, very condescending and whatnot to Shan. Now it's a heat of the moment. I get it. They're arguing. But I don't see Deshaun being like that. I see Deshaun being almost apologetic. But you know what? Listen, I'm sorry I did what I had to do, but I had to do it and I'd do it again. I feel like that's a Deshaun phrase. Ricard is like, I kicked your guys' asses. I had to do it. I'm sorry you're all sitting over there, but you know what? It's me or you. And
I'm just better.
I
I'm
don't
just
think
better,
that's how Ricard-
It's true, though. It's true.
I don't
He
think
is
that's
better.
how Ricard's going to go into it. If Ricard's there in the end, he wins against anybody. But I don't think Ricard can get there. So Deshaun for the win.
All right, fair enough.
I think it's hard, but I
We'll
think he
see
can.
next week.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, you guys,
Done
what do you want to
talking
plug?
about Ricard. Let's wrap it up. Done talking about Ricard. Listen to the DCOM After Dark podcast. Just released a new episode yesterday. 'Twas the Night, starring Bryan Cranston and Jesse Zuckerman, or something like that. 2001 movie came out. 2 people knock out Santa Claus. Then they have to help deliver his presents. It's a fucking funny DCOM. Check it out. We talk about it, me and my podcast partner, Lindsay. Yeah.
Speaking of
Become After
Santa,
Dark.
do you think I have a future career as Santa once it all goes gray? Maybe. Just
thought you were
curious.
gonna
Possibly.
say a future
I thought
career
about that
as
the other
hard
day.
hype
I feel
man.
obligated to be polite and say, sure, Frank. I think you do. No, the only thing I want to throw out there is say thanks to Danny for everything that he did in this season. I think it was great. I know he's watched some of our content in the past, and I think that we mentioned it. There's a couple people that I'd love to see come back. Obviously, in this year, I mentioned that before, and
I will see Danny back here,
I'd like
baby.
to see Danny back as well.
Go Packers.
Oh, and anyone that's watching now, stick around for the recap because I think I'm gonna be on the recap a second week in a row, 2 times, baby, 2 times.
Exciting. All right. Thank you guys for joining. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can get notifications when we go live every time. See you guys soon. Should have been out.